Everyone, it is another rainy, dreary Saturday night in Savannah, Georgia. We were supposed to go to Moon River Brewing to do a paranormal investigation, but Moon River Brewing has ceased their paranormal investigations because they do not own all of the floors in their building, and the other floors that they don't own are the ones that have more paranormal activity. So we are going to go meet up with the guys from Truth and Evidence and do a little investigation around the city. And I swear we bring the rain when we come. Well, I didn't see that coming. Wolfgang Bakery. That's hilarious. Look at this. Yikes. We're going to Wright Square. W-R-I-G-H-T. Just peachy. Here we are. Beautiful during the day.
Super creepy at night. I can help you with that.
And tours going on. Wright Square. I'm going to preface this ghost hunt with a couple of things. By the way, there's a group over here, so there's tons of ghost tours all over. One, I did not bring the IVR camera because I figured it's raining outside and it's kind of odd when you like show up to like a party with like a Mercedes or something and you know everyone's driving a Kia, which by the way I drive a Kia, so no foul intended there. But I did bring the FLIR camera, the S-Box, and our own EMF meter as well, so you can get a little bit of a taste, but I didn't think this was as big of a haunt type of chase or investigation as we've done in the past, and more of just wandering around the squares and learning about the history of Savannah. But check this out. Spooky. We found our group and up the block. It's like a Motley Crue concert going on.
I'll kind of go over equipment.
That's Kim.
The way it works is you don't
Look
have
at
to
how
carry
attentive
equipment
Mary
if you
is.
don't want to. There's enough for everybody to have one piece to use. You're always more than welcome to use like your phone, take videos, pictures, whatever you guys want. Just have headphones. So it's good if there's anybody who might be a little bit hard of hearing. It actually will help to amplify the sound. So the headphones won't muffle it. You'll be able to hear crystal clear and you'll be able to hear much louder. And also good if you want to try to ask questions, like be self-explanatory. I have lots of extra batteries, so if and when it gets died down, we'll be able to change out the battery for you.
Let's see what Mary wants to select.
Like how I was, and adjust the screen, or you can carry it upright as well, whatever's most comfortable. We have K2 meters, and then we have some thermal cameras. Oh. So almost everybody has seen these on some type of paranormal show, and pretty self-explanatory. You can see the different kind of thermal readings of anything in front of you that you can use on any camera.
Select.
Yeah, so it's called, we use the night vision camera.
Is that what you want?
I don't know what you want to do.
Okay.
You should do it.
4 digital recorders set up. I do have a couple more in the bag though.
Oh,
if other people wanted to use that instead. Who wants it?
Mary's going for the digital recorder.
Yeah. Alright, already recording, and there's volume on the side if you want to turn it up or down. You wanted one?
Yeah. Yeah.
Look at her work her way in there.
Alright, there you go.
A little wet.
Mary always unsure of what we have
it's
in
like
our
a
inventory.
It's like a iPod.
We have the 2 thermals.
It's recording now.
Right, so
Maybe somebody's talking to you.
Just press the red button and it'll change it to a
They're telling you to go back to the rail pub and get more shots.
Press it. We just recommend recording.
I can hear everybody.
So one thing we don't have is the IVR,
Alright,
but we do have our FLIR attachment,
and
and we have our K2.
Now, one of Tomochichi's dying wishes was he wished to be buried amongst his English brothers and friends. He was considered a co-founder of Savannah and very well loved by the townspeople.
This memorial used to be for Tomochichi. They took it down and replaced it.
To get Tomochichi a memorial put back up in his name. And that is this rock you guys see right here. It's called Tomochichi's Rock, and it's a single slab of granite, rumored to have come from Stone Mountain. And the folklore surrounding Tomochichi's Rock is that if you go around it 3 times counterclockwise and you say Tomochichi's name every time you pass the seal in front, that he will appear to you sometime throughout your trip in Savannah. So is anybody brave enough? I like it. Go for it.
Let's do it.
Way, guys. You know, you started, you gotta do it now. Oh, other way. Yep, 3 times. And then you say his name every time you pass the front. And if anybody else wants to join, the more the merrier.
Yeah. Let's do it.
I know.
Tomochichi.
We always joke that if you fall, everybody's watching.
Tomochichi. Tomochichi.
God, do you remember that show? God. Is this still on?
Tomochichi. Tomochichi. Come on. Why is everyone standing there? Come on.
One more time.
Tomochichi. 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 Tomochichi.
I thought that was it.
Nothing in the K2.
Right? You're sleeping and you're like, what is that?
Let's look at the thermal. A video to see if Tomochichi appears. Not seeing anything.
Wright Square was one of the first 3 squares that was laid out when Savannah was founded. Wright Square has been known by many names. It's been known as the Post Office Square, it's been known as the Courthouse Square, but its most famous name is the Hanging Square, because this is the square where Savannah used to do its executions. Now, to my right, the CVS Pharmacy, that's actually the location of Savannah's first jail. And the courthouse behind you guys has always been the location of the courthouse, though obviously it looks much different back in the 1700s when it was first built. And Savannah's first cemetery sat on this block. So where all these shops and condos and apartments are now built over, that is the site of Savannah's first cemetery. Gave him that land for a cattle and a horse farm, purposely so he wouldn't have to interact with him in the city. Now, there are historical letters dating back to when William Wise was here, describing 2 of his servants' daily duties, including cooking for Mr. Wise. Well, unfortunately, 2 of the servants gave
Take a look.
They were named Alice Riley and Richard
The thermal
Wright.
camera since the
Because
K2 was going
when the
off.
rest of the servants found Mr. Wise that morning, Alice and Richard had fled the farm. They were apprehended up near South Carolina, brought back down to Savannah, put in jail, and when they stood trial again, representing themselves, both were immediately found guilty of murder. Richard was walked out to the square and became the first man ever executed in Savannah. He was executed on May 1st, 1734. They walked Alice out right after, all intents and purposes of executing her.
What the heck is that up top?
Though they didn't. As she walked up to the gallows, she proclaimed that she was pregnant. So they thought, probably not the best idea that the second person ever executed in Savannah is a pregnant female. In Wright Square, by showing
This
you
was the
guys
location of
piece evidence
Savannah's
that we
first
caught on
gallows.
one of our tours. So the late tour actually used to go the opposite way. So we used to end here. So the group was over by Tomochichi's Rock. You guys can see the tree in the background. The woman had the thermal and was kind of panning across the grass. And I'm going to play it for you guys a couple times. If you have to gather around, feel free to kind of move on in. And tell me what you guys see.
Oh my goodness.
Yep.
this is where we saw the person running across.
As many people think it looks like a pregnant woman kind of hunched over as well. Does anybody remember Alice Riley's execution date? Pardon? Yes, but do you remember the date? Close, 19. Very close, very close.
Woof, woof. Heading out to Oglethorpe and Bull. There are tons of these haunted groups here. Oh, Lowell Mason. We haven't been here before.
Several religious groups either weren't allowed in Savannah or they weren't allowed to worship. One of those groups of people were people of the Jewish faith. And so what happened was the original group of settlers that came over, the doctor they brought with them got sick and had to go back to England. Shortly thereafter, they had a group of Sephardic Jews who were escaping persecution and said, we'll allow you to settle and legally worship here if you will be our doctor in town. You know, last they could have moved them, we're not sure, but those are the people who are reported to have originally been buried in that area.
A little more FLIR cam.
Now I noticed some of your guys' tattoos are going on. It could be from the Jewish memorial and from the Jewish burial grounds. Again,
what was that?
could they have buried them
We'll have to
this
rewind that
direction
and check
versus
that out.
backward? It's possible. Also something we'll talk about a little bit further, along this entire stretch down Bull Street, the second bloodiest battle of the Revolutionary War took place. So it's thought that there could also be a lot of soldiers' bodies underneath where we're standing.
So we've done a paranormal investigation in the building. It's over that way. Sorrel Weed House in the past. You can check out that video up above. But we are moving on this tour.
Alright, so we're going to talk about this building, guys.
Zoom went
But
all
we're gonna go
crazy
around
by
to the
itself.
front of it. But I just like to walk you guys through the parking lot. Running
This is
bed
the
and
Foley
breakfast.
House Inn.
So we'll go around front and I'll tell you guys the story about it. And tell you guys why it's famous.
Nothing on K2. This is the Foley House Inn.
The Foley House Inn was not the first building that was built on this location. There was a large fire that went through Savannah in 1869, burning down a number of buildings, and the original residence at this location was one of those buildings. So the Foley House Inn already had a pretty tragic beginning, being built on top of the ashes of a burned down building.
That's more of the Foley House Inn.
She had herself, her widowed son, and Owen's 5 children from a previous marriage. So in order to make ends meet, she decided to open her residence as an inn. Well, those of you that have been downtown, kind of take yourself back to the late 1800s, early 1900s. We're pretty far off what you would consider the beaten path of Badenstown.
Mary.
And they knew this.
Sucked right into
So
the metal.
they stood there looking at the body and decided the only way you're getting out of this is if we get rid of this man's body.
We're heading through the square over towards the Sorrel Weed House, which we did a pretty good investigation at and had some decent activity in the past. You can check out that video up above.
The front is
Come
the
up in the
side,
Sorrel Weed
but
House.
as we pass through
Really
the
cool
alley,
place.
I'd
We
like
had
to
some
point out
activity
this
on the
blue
S-Box
colored
here
building,
before.
because this is what they refer to as the carriage house, but this is the old slave quarters. And that'll be important to the history of the building. Some people like to go and take pictures of it. And the Sorrel Weed House does do their own tours as well. And so highly recommend it. I'll tell you guys a little bit about the house, why it's so famous.
Sorrel Weed House in the courtyard, the carriage house. Over to the right. The balcony over here, where someone had plunged to their death.
Limits for tours because they have a full-time caretaker that lives upstairs. The middle floors was kind of where the ballrooms, offices, party rooms were. And then the basement was kind of a catch-all. So they had a kitchen and a laundry area for the slaves to do their work down there. There was a room that was converted to a hospital during the Civil War.
Nothing like K2 here.
The owner's son was a doctor. And so this room that you guys see behind me with all the windows is actually a long hallway. And in this hallway, there's an entity who they've just named Shadow Man because they don't know who this entity is. But the story is always the same, that when you're in this hallway, you'll all of a sudden you'll all of a sudden feel super anxious, your hair will stand on end, and then you'll see or feel something rush up on you. Every place you see on
battery
TV,
died
they have a
instantly
link
here,
on their
which was
website
talking about Shadow
that
Man.
you can stay overnight.
Full charge
sometimes
performance.
6 hours, sometimes it's up to 12,
So,
15
replace the
hours.
battery.
As long as you
It's the front of the Sorrel Weed House.
out. Some people here get me
Sorrel
out.
Weed House, we're gonna
Oh
hear
my
the
God,
EVP from Ghost Hunters Tats.
And it'll
they
cycle
spoke with
through
Molly,
a couple
a
times, but I'm
slave.
sure after you guys hear it, you will not believe the romanticized story, but you will believe what we believe to be the truth.
Front of the Sorrel
He
Weed
owned
House.
anywhere from 9 to 24 slaves at one time. And they all lived in that common area of the slave quarters. Now, if you guys tour the house, as those who have know, the slave quarters is included in the tour. So the bottom floor, of course, they've made into a small gift shop, and they legally have to put in a bathroom, so there's a bathroom there. But then the second floor they've left as is to basically look like the common living area where these individuals lived, except for a single bedroom at the back of that second floor building.
Is that Bill Murray? And we are moving on. Going across Taylor and Bold to Montgomery. Oh, sorry, Monterey Square. The rain is back.
This house is the Mercer Williams house, and this was the house that was made famous in the book and the movie Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil. So the Mercer Williams house was built between 1860 and 1871. The first known tragedy that we know of occurred in the house, and it was in 1969. There were two young boys, ages 11, running around the square, running around the town, hunting pigeons with their slingshots. And they thought, what better vantage point to continue hunting pigeons than on the roof of a building that nobody was living in. And Tommy's friend tells police that all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Tommy fell into what he described as a trance-like state. And he kept getting closer and closer to the edge of the roof when an unseen force picked him up and threw him over the edge. He actually became impaled through the head on one of the spikes of the fence.
So we're walking over to the house from the Midnight in the Garden of Evil. Probably screwing that title up. But supposedly still very haunted. With multiple entities. And a sister, Danny, I believe, still owns this house. I could be getting that wrong. Sometimes comes and stays on the second floor. Not getting anything on the K2 here. Here we go. The flare camera. House in the Midnight of Garden of Evil. Screwing up that title, I'm sure. It is pouring outside. We had a little bit of a heat signature in the upper left window there for a second. It disappeared.
Fell from the
These are
roof.
the
And if
windows
you
where
look,
the accident occurred with the pigeon hunting from Tommy.
He should have fallen kind of where you guys are. But in natural law of physics, even if you trip, you get propelled forward. So it doesn't really make sense from a physics standpoint.
Looking at the windows where Tommy would have fallen when he was hunting pigeons.
And it's these two spikes right here. And you can tell because all of these are nice and flush and square. And then these two spikes have what we call weld points or tuck points on the bottom. And so that tells us that these two spikes have actually been welded back on. So feel free if you guys want to take some pictures also. So if you guys are okay with that, I'll cut the history a little bit short to give you guys some time to investigate before the rain.
My battery's dying.
So where we're standing now, guys, is Calhoun Square. And Calhoun Square was one of the last 3 squares that was laid out when Savannah was founded. It's famous for a couple things. One is the Massey House, or the Massey School, which is this brown building on the corner. That was the first public school in Savannah, and it served the poor, more impoverished community, and it was also a freedmen school when African Americans were allowed to be educated. Calhoun Square is also known for the Wesleyan Church, which we just passed. Ooh. And it's also known for this house on the corner,
sweet,
which is 432 Abercorn. Now, 432 Abercorn is well known in Savannah for potentially being the most haunted house in Savannah. It's now owned by a lawyer, and he recently purchased the house about 2 years ago for $1.5 million. But prior to that, it stood vacant for years. The woman who previously owned it could never get work done on the house because the construction workers kept quitting. So she said, no one's going to live here for as long as I live. She was true to her word. The real reason is because of why all of your K2s are going off as well. Is where we're all standing in this square and the square adjacent that way is the original slave burial ground. So again, look around. There's no middle memorial. There's no gravestones. There's no placard to memorialize these people.
Here's the FLIR camera in Calhoun Square. Mass slave burial ground over here. Tour group over here. People from our tour group. This is the house outside of Calhoun Square, where there's been a lot of activity. We'd have to go back and look at this in editing, but I'm not seeing anything. We're not seeing anything in Calhoun Square on heat mapping, but are you catching anything audio-wise?
No.
Not that you can hear so far.
Just everybody talking.
All right, the group is heading to the cemetery, which we can do during the day tomorrow instead. But right now, freezing and raining. So we're gonna walk back to the hotel in the shadows. All right, back at the Thunderbird after our tour. The tour was pretty fun, informative, just not at the level of some of the investigations that we've done before, which is to be expected. We were really hoping that we would be able to get into Moon River this time around, because that's kind of been one of those goals that we haven't been able to get to. But this time around, at least, no can do for the Moon River tours because of the ownership issues. But be it as it may, good tour, cold, rainy, I'm not sure if we caught anything, so we'll have to check back through the footage and see if we see anything. But that was the Truth and Evidence tour. The difference between this tour and some of the others is that they give you equipment if you don't have it, so they'll give you a K2, they'll give you digital listening devices, they give you an infrared camera, they give you some of the heat-seeking cameras and things like that. So worth checking out. They do tours in St. Augustine as well, I believe, of the lighthouse, so maybe one day we'll be able to get through one of those. But for now, thank you very much for coming along. Thank you very much for all of your likes, comments, and subscriptions. Treat others the way you want to be treated. Have a great day. We'll see you guys.